The silent darkness. The Galactic Core had always been a forbidden place. Even the bravest alien fleets avoided its storms. Space there was not empty. It pulsed with strange energy, twisted light, and black scars that bent ships until they vanished. Yet on this night, an expedition of alien warships moved closer, chasing a signal no one could explain. Their scanners showed strange waves, steady, repeating, like the slow beat of a heart. It did not match any known star, pulsar, or machine. The fleet commander, Admiral Korath, stood on the bridge staring at the shifting hologram. His scales reflected the eerie glow as he whispered, "Something is alive in the core." The younger officers laughed nervously. Alive? That was impossible. The core was chaos. Nothing could survive there. But the signal continued, steady, and patient as if waiting for them. One by one, their ships slipped deeper. The silence of space pressed against their hulls. Normally, comm channels buzzed with chatter, but here, no one spoke much. Every alien felt it. The core was watching them. Suddenly, one of the smaller scout ships sent an urgent call. Its captain shouted, "Massive objects detected ahead, size unknown. They are not stars. They are moving." The entire fleet turned their eyes to the viewports. Out of the black storm came a shape. At first it looked like a drifting piece of metal. Then another appeared. Then more. Shadows larger than cities slid into view, their outlines hard and angular. No glow of engines, no beacon lights, no signals. Just silent giants hanging in the darkness. The fleet froze. Their scanners tried to analyze the objects, but every reading came back wrong. Some said the shapes were kilometers wide. Others said they were as large as moons. Data scrambled, sensors failed, yet the shadows remained. Admiral Korath's voice cracked. "Are they ships?" One officer answered, "If they are, Admiral, they are not ours, not anyone's." Whispers spread across the crew. Ancient stories had always spoken of a species long vanished, humans. Legends claimed they once ruled parts of the galaxy, fighting wars so terrible, entire civilizations fell silent. But no one believed those myths. Humans were considered dead, lost with their ruined world. Yet when the shadows moved, every alien heart clenched with the same thought. What if the legends were true? One of the massive shapes tilted, its surface catching faint light from the core. The crew gasped. It was not just debris, it was armor. Thousands of plates, scarred by battles older than their empire, lined its hull. Strange markings glowed faintly on its surface. Letters none of them could read. The ship was sleeping, but alive. Without warning, all communications across the alien fleet died. Static hissed. Lights flickered. Systems reset. The warships' presence crushed their technology as if the galaxy itself bowed to it. Panic grew. Officers shouted, engineers hit controls again and again, but nothing worked. The alien fleet, strong and proud when entering the core, now trembled like prey. Then, as if the core itself took a breath, the silence deepened. The massive shadow turned toward them, its outline sharpened. They could now see rows of cannons, each large enough to break planets, pointing out from its sides. The alien soldiers felt their skin crawl. The warship was not attacking, not even moving fast. It was simply watching. Yet that silent gaze was worse than any fire. Admiral Korath whispered, "If this is human, then the galaxy is doomed." More shadows appeared in the distance. One by one, more warships slid out of the black, silent and waiting. Their number was impossible to count. Some were close, their scars glowing dim red. Others hung far away, hidden behind shifting energy storms. But together, they formed a wall around the alien fleet. The young lieutenant at the front shivered and spoke in a thin voice. "Admiral." They were never gone. The admiral did not answer. His eyes remained locked on the warship before them. For the first time in his long career, he felt fear so strong it hollowed him inside. These ships were not new. They were old, older than any empire alive today. And yet, they still stood ready. Suddenly, the signal that had brought them here changed. It was no longer a simple pulse, it was a voice, a deep low echo that rumbled through their ships without speakers, without translators. Every alien heard it in their bones. You should not have come. The fleet froze. The bridge went cold. No one dared breathe. The warship's hull lit up, with a faint glow like fire rising from slumber. Weapons powered slowly, humming with ancient energy. And then, for the first time, the aliens saw it clearly. Written across the side of the giant ship, carved deep into its metal skin, were 5 letters. Simple, sharp, undeniable. Earth. The myths were not myths. The darkness of the core was not empty. It belonged to humanity, and humanity had just awakened. The warships awaken. The alien fleet did not move. They could not. Every ship in Admiral Koreth's command hung frozen in space, surrounded by shadows older than memory. The first warship had shown its scars and its terrible name, but now others drifted closer. Slowly, silently, they formed a circle. No engines flared, no signals flashed, yet the alien sensors screamed warnings as if entire suns were rising around them. The warship's presence pressed down like an ocean tide, crushing lungs and spirits. A junior officer finally broke the silence. Admiral, they're not drifting. They are watching us. Koreth felt sweat gather under his scales. He knew the officer was right. The ship's subtle movements were not random. They adjusted, aligning with precision. It was the posture of predators waiting to strike. One of the alien science vessels, desperate for answers, sent out a probe. The small craft shot toward the nearest warship, its engines glowing like a firefly. For a moment, the alien crew felt hope. Data streamed. In hull composition, energy readings, size. The readings spiked beyond calculation. Then in a single flash, the probe died. No explosion, no trace. It was as if the probe had never existed. Gasps filled the alien bridge. The crew turned to their admiral. Koreth's eyes narrowed. They erased it. Not destroyed, erased. This technology, it is beyond us. Before anyone could respond, the warship moved. It did not lurch forward or attack. It glided. A silent drift as graceful as a predator swimming through dark waters. Its cannons remained steady, its armor glowing with faint energy lines. Yet every alien felt the same terror. The ship had chosen its first target. The alien fleet scrambled. Fighters launched in panic, tiny specks swarming toward the warship. They fired beams of plasma, missiles that screamed through the void. The human warship did not flinch. One by one, the attacks vanished. Missiles froze mid-flight, spinning helplessly before dissolving into dust. Plasma beams scattered like rain hitting an invisible wall. The fighters' comms cut out. Some ships simply vanished, pulled into rips of empty space. The alien crews watched in horror. Their strongest weapons, their most advanced fighters, useless. And then, for the first time, the warship answered. A deep pulse shot from its core, not an explosion, not a weapon they could see. It was soundless, yet every alien ship shook as if struck by a giant hammer. Hulls cracked, systems flickered, lights dimmed. Officers fell to the floor as their ears rang with pressure no one could explain. The core itself seemed to react. Energy storms flared, lightning tore across black voids, and gravitational waves bent the stars. The human warship's pulse had shaken the galaxy's heart. On the bridge, Admiral Koreth struggled to breathe. His crew screamed for orders, but no command could stop what was unfolding. His eyes locked on the massive ship ahead, its markings glowing brighter. It was not just a weapon of war. It was alive, carrying the rage of an entire species. Suddenly, another warship stirred. Then, another. The circle of shadows began to awaken one by one. Their hulls flared with blue, white, and crimson light. The darkness of the core filled with colors, like the rising of terrible suns. The alien fleet realized the truth too late. This was not a random encounter. This was a gathering, a gathering of warships that had waited in silence for countless years. The admiral's voice cracked through the comms. "All ships retreat, retreat at once!" Engines roared, trying to pull them free, but space itself bent around them. The core refused to let them go. The human ships shifted, boxing them in with walls of power. Every escape vector collapsed. Then came the moment that silenced all hope. From the lead warship, a light emerged, sharp, pure, and cold. It was not a weapon fired in anger. It was a warning shot, cast into the void. Yet that single beam split, a distant asteroid into molten fragments. The display was clear. If the humans wished, the alien fleet would already be ashes. The voice returned, deeper, sharper, and now unmistakable. "This is our core. Leave. Or be erased." The aliens trembled. Soldiers whispered prayers. Officers hid their faces. Legends were no longer myths. Humans were real. Their ships alive. Their vengeance endless. Admiral Korath felt his heart pound like thunder. For the first time in his long life, he knew he was facing an enemy that could not be measured by numbers or strategy. The warships were not just awakening. They were remembering. Humanity's message. The alien fleet hung trapped in the core, caught between storms of living energy and the silent wall of human warships. Engines burned, weapons powered, but nothing mattered. Every path of escape bent back upon itself as if the core itself obeyed the humans. Admiral Korath stood frozen on his command bridge, his throat dry. He had seen empires rise and fall, but never had he seen power like this. His crew watched him with wide eyes, waiting for orders he could not give. Then it happened. The silence broke. A soundless transmission spread across every alien ship at once. No radio, no signal, yet the words filled their heads as if spoken inside their skulls. The language was ancient, simple, and terrifyingly clear. "We warned you not to touch the core." The bridge went cold. Officers shivered. Some fell to their knees, clutching their heads. The humans were not only alive, they were speaking directly to them. Korath's voice cracked. "Who are you?" The answer came like thunder in his bones. "We are what you forgot. We are what you mocked. We are what you feared in your children's tales." The alien fleet trembled. Old stories whispered among their people rushed back like fire. Legends of Earth, a blue world that had burned long ago. Legends of humans, short-lived, reckless, violent, and yet unmatched in war. Most thought them myths, exaggerated tales to frighten young cadets. But here, in the heart of the galaxy, the myths stood alive, awake, and more terrible than anything else. One alien officer whispered, almost in tears, they were supposed to be gone. As if hearing him, the warship's voice deepened. We were never gone. We endured. We waited. The largest of the human ships moved forward, drifting like a mountain torn from the earth. Its cannons, silent until now, shifted. Rows of them aimed at the alien flagship. Korath's claws dug into the rail. "Hold fire. Do not provoke them." But it was too late. A panicked cruiser in the alien fleet fired a desperate volley. Dozens of plasma lances shot out, glowing like a dying star. They streaked toward the human ship, brilliant and deadly. Every alien eye watched, and every alien heart stopped. The human warship did not dodge. It did not shield. Instead, the beams simply disappeared a few meters before impact, absorbed into nothingness. The great ship glowed brighter as if fed by the attack. Then, in a gesture that was not war but judgment, the warship answered. A single cannon fired. No light, no sound, just a thin beam, almost invisible. It touched the attacking cruiser for less than a second. And then the cruiser was gone. Not broken, not burning, simply gone, erased, as if the universe had deleted it. Gasps and screams filled the alien bridges. Whole crews watched their ally vanish without a trace. Then came the voice again, colder now, sharp as a blade. We do not seek conquest. We do not seek allies. We seek silence. The core is ours. The aliens shook. Soldiers, hardened by decades of war, felt their courage collapse. They had faced tyrants, beasts, and machines, but this was different. This was not an empire. This was a wound in the galaxy that had learned how to fight back. Admiral Korath forced himself to stand tall. He knew the galaxy was listening. Not just his fleet. Someone had to speak. Why? Why return now? For a long moment there was no answer. Only the hum of ancient ships awakening. Then the voice returned, heavy with memory. You mocked our fall. You laughed at our silence. But we never died. We burned in the shadows. We built in exile. We turned loss into steel. Now, when your kind reached for the core, you woke us. And you will remember the name you buried. The bridge screens flickered. Alien translators struggled, but the humans needed no translation. 5 letters burned across every ship's display, carved in fire. HUMAN. The word was simple, but it carried the weight of centuries. Crew members wept. Some whispered prayers. Others stared in hollow silence. The truth was undeniable. Humanity had returned, not as survivors, but as judges. One of the younger alien officers whispered in terror, "What will they do to us?" Admiral Korath had no answer. His heart told him the truth. The humans would decide, and their decision would shape the galaxy. Outside, the warship's glow intensified. Cannons aligned, energy storms bent, and the core itself trembled like a living creature awaiting its master's command. The humans had spoken their first words in centuries. The next words would decide who lived and who was erased. The Shattered Core. The alien fleet floated on the edge of despair. Their weapons meant nothing, their courage had crumbled, and before them stood giants from a forgotten age. Yet the worst had not come. It began when the core itself started to tremble. The human warships did not fire again. They did not need to. Their very presence stirred the heart of the galaxy. Storms of energy twisted into spirals. Lightning of pure gravity lashed across space, tearing apart chunks of rock the size of continents. Black holes hidden deep in the core pulsed like beating drums. Every alien ship shook under waves of invisible force. Admiral Korath gripped the rail, his eyes wide. They are not just fighting us. They are controlling the core itself. He was right. The humans had not returned as mere survivors. They had returned as masters of the most dangerous region in the galaxy. One warship raised its massive cannon toward the energy storms. It fired, not at the aliens, but into the heart of the core. The beam split the darkness, striking a hidden pocket of unstable matter. The result was chaos. A shockwave ripped outward, a wall of fire and light bending reality itself. The alien fleet scrambled, shields glowing, hulls groaning. Dozens of smaller ships were flung away like leaves in a storm. Some broke apart, torn into glowing fragments. But the human warships moved as if they had rehearsed it. Not a single one was touched. They slid through collapsing space with perfect precision, their movements smooth, unshaken, terrifying. "They're reshaping the battlefield," whispered the alien science officer. "They're turning the core into a weapon." The fleet panicked. Desperate voices shouted over comms, begging for orders. Some ships tried to flee again, firing their engines at full power. But the core bent against them, folding their escape. Roots back into the storm. One ship vanished into a rift of pure gravity. Its final scream cut short as its signal died forever. And through it all, the human warships advanced. They did not rush. They did not chase. They moved like hunters guiding prey into a trap. Every alien vessel could feel it. The humans were not attacking blindly. They were testing, measuring, showing the galaxy how small its strongest fleets really were. The alien flagship groaned under pressure. Panels sparked, alarms blared, crew screamed as gravity spikes tore through the hull. Admiral Korath shouted commands, but his voice was drowned out by terror. His officers knew the truth. There was no fighting this. Then came the strike. 3. Human warships aligned side by side. Their cannons charged, glowing with a light older than any empire. They fired together, beams weaving into one. The shot did not hit a ship. It hit the space between ships. The void shattered. An entire wedge of the alien fleet collapsed into nothingness. Dozens of warships gone in a single breath, erased not by fire, but by the destruction of the space they occupied. Silence fell. The survivors stared at the empty gap where friends and comrades had been. Nothing remained. No debris, no signal, not even ash. Just emptiness, as if those ships had never existed. Admiral Korith's claws trembled. This is not war. This is judgment. Across the battlefield, the humans remained silent. Their ships hovered, glowing with power, forming a wall of light and shadow. The core storms bent around them, obeying their command. A single alien captain broke the silence. His ship, battered and broken, broadcast a desperate cry across comms. "Please, have mercy. We did not know." The plea echoed through the fleet. Officers lowered their weapons, soldiers dropped to their knees. Pride, arrogance, all of it burned away. Now there was only fear. The human warship answered. Not with words, with silence. Its cannons shifted toward the alien flagship. Slowly, steadily, the glow intensified. Everyone understood what it meant. The humans were deciding whether to erase them as they had erased the others. The galaxy held its breath. And then, without warning, the light dimmed. The cannons powered down. Admiral Korith's heart skipped. They were spared, but the warship drifted, closer, its size filling every viewport, its scars like rivers of fire, and across its hull, glowing brighter than ever before, appeared a single word: Earth. The humans had shattered their fleet, broken the core, and stripped away their pride. Now they gave them a choice: leave in silence or share the same fate. Taitiu. Aliens stared at the word, trembling. For the first time in countless ages, the core belonged to someone. It belonged to humanity, and humanity had shown just a fraction of its power. The return of humanity. The battlefield was silent. Where once the alien fleet had stretched proud and countless, now only scattered survivors drifted in broken formation. Sparks danced across shattered hulls. The cries of dying crews filled the comms, a chorus of fear and regret. And through it all, the human warships stood unshaken, their shadows like mountains carved from night. Admiral Korith stared at the glowing word on the warship's hull, Earth, his chest tight, his throat dry. Every legend he had dismissed now returned with cruel clarity. Humans had not vanished, they had not been erased. They had been waiting. One of his officers whispered, voice trembling, "Admiral, if they wished, we would all be gone." Korith nodded slowly. "This is not war. This is a warning." As if answering him, the lead human warship shifted. Its cannons powered down, but its presence grew heavier. Lights flickered across its surface, patterns forming like veins of fire. The galaxy itself seemed to dim around it. Then, for the first time, something impossible happened. The warship's bridge revealed itself. A section of its armored hull opened, sliding apart with smooth, deliberate grace. Behind layers of scarred steel, a chamber shone with pale blue light. And inside, silhouettes moved. The aliens gasped. They were human, not myths, not ghosts. Flesh and blood. Tall figures in dark armor, their faces hidden behind helmets, stood at attention like guardians of an ancient tomb. But at their center was a leader, his helmet gone, his face lined with scars, his eyes burning with the weight of centuries. His presence carried no weakness, no hesitation. He was human, and yet more than human. The voice that followed was not broadcast through speakers. It poured directly into the minds of every alien, raw and undeniable. Humanity does not kneel. Humanity does not forget. You destroyed our home, laughed at our silence, and wrote us as myths, but we endured. We forged our strength in exile and in fire. Now we return, not as conquerors, but as truth. The core is ours, and the galaxy will remember. The words struck like a blade. Entire alien crews wept. Commanders gripped their seats, their pride collapsing into dust. Soldiers who had never feared death now bowed their heads. Korath forced himself to speak, though his voice shook. If you are stronger than all of us, why spare us? The human's scarred face turned, his eyes locking with Korath through the void. The answer was calm, yet it carried the weight of judgment. Because extinction is mercy, and mercy is not what we bring. We bring memory. You will live to remember what you saw here. You will carry our shadow back to your people. You will tell them, humanity has returned. The alien fleet shuddered. Survivors powered down weapons, lowered shields, and drifted like beggars before kings. None dared to resist. Then the human warships moved, not toward destruction, but away. One by one they turned, gliding deeper into the storms of the core. Their lights faded, their massive hulls vanishing into the chaos. Yet the power in their movement remained, echoing in every alien heart. The core obeyed them. The storms parted as they passed, folding space like cloth. And then they were gone, swallowed by the darkness, leaving behind only silence and ruin. Admiral, Korath collapsed into his chair, his scales pale with fear. His officers looked at him with hollow eyes, waiting for words he did not have. At last, he spoke, his voice broken but clear. Send the message. Across every star, every system, every empire, humanity is alive, humanity is awake, and the galaxy will never be the same. The survivors obeyed. The words spread like wildfire, carried through hyperspace relays, whispered in fear across planets, screamed in panic by leaders who thought themselves safe. And in every corner of the galaxy, a new truth rose. The humans were not myths. They were a storm. They were a fire. They were the shadow at the edge of the core. And though they had spared the aliens today, their message was clear. When humanity chose to rise fully, no power in existence could stand against them.